All right, welcome back. This begins exercise number 2 in Photoshop for tools and operations. And in this section of the project, we will examine how to take your images and begin to cut them out and prepare them for compositing and combining together to make a brand new imaginary scene of sorts. So we'll do that by examining 4 different areas. We'll look at converting things into smart objects. After that, we will then create selections around each photographic form for the parts that we want. We will then go from there to refining those selections to make it look really clean and convert them all into what are known as layer-based masks. So that's what we'll be working through. So let's go ahead and get started with this particular video on converting images into smart objects. So to understand in Photoshop what a smart object is, essentially the concept behind smart objects is to be able to protect original content or original digital content for a layer. So in the case of our files, it would be like taking an image and putting a safety net around it, or a wall, or putting it inside of a box of sorts so that it can't be harmed. And so in this sense, with here, we're protecting it from things that can happen in software, like accidentally painting on top of the imagery, or even accidentally rescaling an image or skewing and distorting it in a way that would be otherwise cause permanent damage to the original pixel information. All of those things we don't want to do. So to start off well with editing with our images at this stage, it's appropriate that we go ahead and work with them as smart objects to go ahead and start protecting them now. So let's go ahead and start off, and we're going to work through our layer stack one image at a time. So I'm going to start with my top layer for my clouds image. So I'm going to select my top layer that I want to work with. It's always important that you click on the layer you are going to work on. Photoshop has to be told what it's going to work on, otherwise it's just going to work on whatever layer you have currently active over here, even if you can't see it. So I'm going to select the clouds. It's kind of the most visible right now, so I'm just going to work through them one by one. So I'll start off by converting this into a smart object. So to do that, it's pretty easy. First, select the layer you want to do it with, then go to the top menu bar and go to Layer. After that, slide down on the list where it says Smart Objects, and then go over and select Convert to Smart Object. After it's done doing that, it doesn't look like anything has changed on screen. That's okay. Where you want to look though is over here on your layer panel. Notice that the thumbnail icon for your image now has this little inset icon of a piece of paper with a flip corner. That indicates visually in Photoshop that an image layer has been converted into a smart object. Now again, the great thing of smart objects is that they do protect your layer from general damage to the imagery of the data, but it's also a way of grouping layers together if you want them to be affected by similar changes that you make, like wanting to transform 5 or 6 layers at to the same scale, or applying a single filter to a single layer or a collection of layers. Well, you could group them all together into one area and then apply a filter that would apply to all of them at once. So there's many ways that you can use a smart object, but for the most part, we want to learn to use it as a safe editing feature. In Photoshop, this is also understood as non-destructive editing, whereby we are preserving pixel data so we can always revisit it and always make more edits if we need to, because it's very easy to edit images and ruin them in here. So we got started with our clouds and converted it to a smart object. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Now that I've finished one, what I want to do in the layer panel is actually make it temporarily invisible or hide it. So to do that, in my layer panel, there are these little eyeballs that run right next to each layer, and those allow for visibility of the layer. So if you click on the eye will disappear, but so will that layer. Now it's not gone, it's just invisible temporarily. If you want to bring it back, just click that little box again and the layer will reappear. Now for now, I'm going to turn off the layer I just finished, and I'm going to continue down. So I'm going to now select the next layer for these trees, and I'm going to go back up to Layer, Smart Objects, Convert to Smart Object. Alright, worked. Turn that one off. Keep working my way down the stack. And again, it's a pretty simple task to convert this stage of the process. As long as we go down and we take care of each one, all will be well. And again, this is an important stage to take care of. So you must go through each of these layers and each of your own layers and do this step before you start changing anything about your images. It is important that we go ahead and take care of this to protect them. Alright, so I finished my last one. I'm going to go ahead and turn all my other images back on now. And now they're all safe and ready to go for working from here on the next part of the process, which is where we will work with selections. So that'll end this particular video on creating smart objects.